All right. It's almost 6. Let's start. Hi, everyone, if there's anyone out there. My name's Amy, and I co-own a retail store called Pure Pleasure, which I will type in right now for you, just so you know where I'm from. Bam. That's where I'm from. I live in Santa Cruz, California, and we opened up this store about 7.5 years ago, and I co-own it with my mom. Yes, it's a mother-daughter sex shop. I got into this business because I am a sex educator and I'm passionate about teaching people about sex. And why am I passionate about that? Well, there's a lot of missing information out there. How else do we find out about sex? We learn in school, but in school we learn about the bad things, what not to do, and they don't really talk about the pleasure. The way we find out about pleasure, or how to take care of our bodies, or how to ask for what we want, or to speak our desires, is through trial and error. And even in those experiences, quite often we get shamed, or which leads to fear, and fear comes up and it really prevents us from learning and asking for what we want and getting clear on what we want and what we need. So I feel like there's a lot of room for adult education, and so through that I went to school at San Francisco State, and I majored in psychology and minored in human sexuality, and went on to become a certified sex educator through something called SFISI. I will write that down for you too, because it's a great resource in San Francisco. It stands for San Francisco Sex Information, and it is an anonymous hotline that you can either call or email, and they will respond to you with your sex-related questions. And they also do a sex certification training as well for sex educators. So let's give you that too. .org. Because I know you all have questions. Everyone does. No one does not have questions. It's just a part of it. No one is born knowing everything about sex. And if you think that, and if you say that, I invite you to question yourself and to get rid of your ego, because that's impossible. I have gone to school for human sexuality. I take sex-related classes and courses all the time, and I am still learning and will always be learning. And that's what life is about, learning, constantly learning, and we do that with sex as well. So once I became a certified sex educator, I went on a school field trip with my lunchbox. Just kidding, I didn't have a lunchbox. But I saw Good Vibrations, which is San Francisco's sex shop, and was really inspired. I thought we needed one of those in Santa Cruz, because what they do is they're what we call sex positive, meaning we embrace sexuality where there's no shame in there. All consensual sex is good sex. There's no judgment as long as it's consensual, and even with consent there's a lot of pieces to break down, but we won't get into that right now. And so I thought we needed something like that. We're in my hometown, where we provide, we sell high quality adult toys, but we also offer sex ed classes. So I teach there. We bring in educators from all over the country, and teach everything from Blowjob 101 to Anal 101 to Tantra classes. We just had a Squirtgasms class where there was literally a live demo. There was a woman on a massage table who was being stimulated to the point where she was squirting, and I'm sure that's a big question for a lot of you, because there's a lot of controversy around squirting. You read any Vice magazine article in January, perhaps, that said that it was all pee? If you have questions about that, I can comment on that too. So yes, so I'm an educator. I teach there. I teach in other sex shops around the country. I have taught in universities and select presentations for health organizations at various universities and in private settings. This is my passion. This is my drive, and the sex toys is just something that comes with it. What else do I do? I also do marketing for sex toy brands. So I go into retail shops and educate their staff on sex toys, certain sex toy lines, so that they can better sell their products as well. So I'm very much immersed in the sex industry, but I am not a porn star. I appreciate porn stars. I think that they are athletes. I've met a number of different porn stars in the industry and different aspects of the industry. And yeah, they're people. They're people too. And some of them are really fabulous people. Oh, we have a question. How can a guy compete with a girl when a girl uses a vibrator? Wait, what? Uses a vibrator a lot. Got it. I can read too. Don't worry. Oh, how can a guy compete? Okay. This is a common question that we get at Pure Pleasure. Let's see. So, can a vibrator caress a woman? Can a vibrator rub a woman? Can a vibrator kiss a woman? Can a vibrator make a woman feel emotionally loved, or maybe you don't love them, liked, adored, cherished, safe, beautiful, worshipped, like a goddess? Can it? I don't think so. And if you have met a vibrator that can do that, please bring it to me, because I would love to sell it at the shop and perhaps try it. But until then, a vibrator cannot replace you. It's impossible. It doesn't have a personality. The minute you're threatened by a vibrator replacing you, to me, is you insulting what you have inside, the gift that you have to give a woman, and it's a lot more than your cock. Sorry, you have a lot more. I mean, I hope that's a compliment to you. Hopefully you have a lot more inside of you than your cock. And if you aren't confident about that, then, I mean, that's kind of what this Ask a Hottie thing is about, right? Is learning about tapping into what you have inside of you in order to be more appealing, more complimentary to women. And so there's a lot that you can do to go deeply inside and not be worried about if the vibrator's going to replace you. With that said, okay, one thing about vibrators, they do not change a woman's chemistry or biology, so it's not going to change the clitoris. If you put a vibrator on the clitoris, all of a sudden the clitoris doesn't actually biologically change. What it can do, though, is affect this part. This is a human's largest sex organ. It's the brain. This is 90% of someone's sexual experience comes from here. It does not come from the physical aspects of the body. I mean, it does come from them, but 90% of it is coming from here, and it's all linked. You know, you touch somewhere, you rub someone, and then it sends messages up to here, and then we create a story or a reaction or whatever it is in terms of how we want to react to it. So you put a really intense vibrator on the clit, and it's really, really intense. Yeah, someone can get used to that because it's really intense, and so maybe it only takes them a minute to get off to that. So the brain says, wow, this took a minute to get off, and getting off is fun. It produces dopamine, it produces oxytocin, all these things. It's a drug. Orgasm is a drug. So someone can get used to that aspect. Oh, someone get used to that aspect of, sorry, we had a message from my friend Jake over there. Someone get used to how easy it is to have an orgasm in 1 minute with something that's really, really strong. But it doesn't mean that it's changed their body. So if someone gets used to that, and then all of a sudden, no, we're going to use a penis or a finger or a tongue, and wow, it's a lot lighter than my vibrator, and wow, it's taking me a lot longer to get off. My vibrator took me so much, it was so much faster. I'm just going to go back to the vibrator because it was easy, because we're lazy people. We like when things happen quick, fast, efficiently. We want to control. We want to get in and out. We want to get that orgasm. That's just like how humans are. Not all of us, but some of us like to enjoy the journey. But for the most part, we want to get that orgasm. So our brain says, oh, it's not going to work. Oh, this finger, this tongue, this penis, it's not going to work because it's taking forever, or it might work, but we're lazy and we want to, let's just go back to the vibrator. And that's when someone feels like they're being replaced, when an actual human hand, tongue, penis feels like it's being replaced. But it's only because the brain is lazy. The brain is saying, this was so much easier, let's just stick with this. So when an individual does, if maybe a lady feels like she has adapted to her vibrator where she gets off really easily to that, and now it feels like it's hard to get off to human touch, it's all in here. All she needs to do is be patient and practice with maybe lighter vibrations. It's not going to be instant. So if she is used to really, really strong vibrations on her clit, we'll make this my clit, my right there, really, really strong stuff. Then if she tries to wean herself off and start using lighter stuff, so something with a lighter vibration, while this other thing got her off in 1 minute, now this lighter one probably will take 10 minutes. 10 minutes isn't that long, but we're used to the quick one, so she'll, oh, I'm just going to crank it up again. So it's all a matter of mind control, of being patient and practicing. And there's actually a lot of value to vibrators too. There's a lot of women who, and also fun fact, let's get into this. Most women are having their orgasms from clitoral stimulation. Did you know that? Not from vaginal stimulation. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that before, but we still live in a society that even though we've heard that, we still like to think that penetration is where they should be getting off. And this is a myth. There's plenty of women who can get off to penetration, but usually it's because penetration is actually rubbing on the clitoris as well. It's not just because this in and out in the vagina is getting someone off. There's a lot more to it. I also like saying pussy. You might hear me say that. I think, and taking it back, it's a good word. So let's get into the clitoris. Ooh, this is a weird drawing because you probably have never seen anything like this before. This is going to blow your mind. It doesn't look like a clitoris. Look at this. This here, we have the vagina here. This is all the clitoris. I know, it looks like a tiny penis. It's baffling. It's not a tiny penis. Your penis is actually just an extended clitoris. You want to know why? Because in utero, when we're all just little tiny, we're below fetuses. What are we, like a zygote? Maybe we're a small fetus. Actually, it's before fetus, so I would say we're like a zygote. When we're in utero, so we're in the womb, we all start with XX chromosomes. XX is female. So we all start as female. So everything is all internal. The clitoris is essentially the head of the penis. So your most sensitive part of your body is the head of the penis. And then you go down the shaft of your cock, has some nerve endings but likes more pressure, but the penis, lots of nerve endings. And then you continue down, you have the testicles, which are ovaries that women have as well. But before you had that whole extension out of your body, you were actually an internal piece just like us. The head of the penis was like our clitoris, and then it all grew out and your testes popped out eventually, and our ovaries stayed in. So your anatomy we all kind of started the same. And when you think about imagine if you had orgasms or you were stimulated and no one touched the head of your penis. They just avoided it. They were just touching the shaft. They always avoided it. They never went there. It was just shaft, maybe like ball play, just balls, but they never ever touched your penis or the head of your penis, where the most nerve endings are. How would that feel for you? Would that be, would you still have the same orgasms? Would you feel like something was missing? Would it change your experience there? I would really look into that and then consider when you actually are touching a woman's body that think of the clitoris as the head of your penis too, because it's a similar experience. When we teach blowjob 101 classes, when I teach it, I'm usually teaching it to a group of women, but sometimes there's men in there because they want to learn about their own bodies, or maybe they're into men. But when I teach it to women, I always remind them when they're actually giving a blowjob or stimulating a penis to think of it as if the same as on their body too. So not, you don't, while I say most of the nerve endings are on the head of the penis, not to focus all of your energy on there, because it would be the same as just like focusing all the energy on the clit, which can be really overwhelming. You want to go all over. With that said, this is where the powerhouse is. The clitoris is one of the only body parts that is designed for pleasure. That's all it does. It has no other purpose other than feel good and make someone feel good and make someone feel pleasure. So it is quite a magical place. I would say that the head of the penis is the same, except that you have a urethra that comes out of it, so it serves a purpose for you to also move ejaculate and urine through too. So you don't get a body part that is just for pleasure, and we do. So one for us, hooray! Back to my drawing. Woo, woo, woo. There we go. I can't really get it on there. I didn't draw this, by the way. So this is confusing, right? This is the clitoris here. This is the head of the clitoris. And then it extends back, and you see there's these, this is really awkward, these are these legs back here. Those legs actually go behind the labia majora, so like the big lips. You have like your outer pussy lips, and then your inner pussy lips, and they all look different. Some stick out, some stick in. The outer pussy lips are the kind of like the bulbs. Those clitoral legs, yeah, the clit has legs. It's not just the little nub that sticks out. There's a hole. It extends back and has legs that go down. So actually, if you cupped the pussy like this, like say this is my pussy, hey pussy, and you cupped it with your hand like this, and so the clit's up here, and then these are the bulbs, you would actually hit, that's so awkward, it's like backwards on this camera, you would actually hit the whole clitoral structure here. So there's a lot more to it. So when you're actually stimulating the pussy and you hit the outer area, which is also called, this is all called the vulva on the outside, the vagina is what's inside, vulva is on the outside. You want to hit all of these areas. Be nice, like hit the bulbs, don't hit them, but add stimulation there, add stimulation to the clitoris. Inside the vaginal canal, oh, we got another question, I'll finish this. Inside the vaginal canal, just so you know, a lot less nerve endings than what's outside, so put a lot of your attention on the outside. That's why vibrators feel good. When someone's using a vibrator, they're using it externally, mostly on the clit. Sometimes they use it internally, but for the most part, they're getting off with external stimulation, and that's what your cock should do too. Okay, next question. What exactly makes a girl wet? Whew. Okay, well, there's two ways to answer this. One would be anatomically, and another would be your skills. So anatomically, first of all, a wetness can and cannot, or may and may not be a determination of how aroused she is. So sometimes people experience wetness just because from hormones. They're like, wow, they have like a puddle in their panties, and they weren't particularly turned on. It's just that time of month, and I'm not talking about their period. I'm talking about hormones that just move more fluids through the body. Vaginal wetness comes from multiple areas. It comes from internally throughout the cervix, and then it also comes more, I would say more externally out of two glands that are called the Bartholin's gland that are on the side of like the bathing suit line, and it goes in and out through the pussy. So when someone is aroused through various things that you're doing, yeah, those glands are designed to produce more lubrication, to make things more silky and more movement. But some women everyone's different. They produce less fluid. Some produce more fluid. So if you're ever with someone and you don't get like this big puddle, don't take it personally. Like if you're touching her and you don't get this big wet puddle, a lot of times it might not be about you. It might be, and actually most of the time it's never actually about you. Quite often it's about her and what she's going through. So don't take it personally. Don't get mad. And if you have a question, ask her. Ask her like, do you like this? Do you want more pressure? Do you want less pressure? How do you like to be touched? A lot of people don't know that answer. It can be kind of scary because some people don't even understand their own bodies, and it's actually quite efficient in the moment when you're all hot and heavy to ask more yes or no questions. Think of if I asked you, if I was touching you, like, what do you like? Maybe you'd have a good answer, but it would probably be a little bit easier for you to think if I said a yes or no question. So ways to get her wet. Let's see. Everyone's different. There is not one answer to this question. There's not one single technique that will work on every single woman. When I teach Blowjob 101 classes, the one tip that I have that I say works on every single blowjob is enthusiasm. There's never a time when a girl is sucking your cock that she looked too happy, that she seemed too into it. She was, moaning too much. If as long as she's showing you enthusiasm, then that will up the blowjob. Now there's technique and things on top of that will make a big difference as well, but everyone's different. So in terms of a girl, I think enthusiasm is a big thing. Safety. So a lot of women have experienced a lot of shame around their pussy, whether it's the smell, it's the taste, it's the look. And and I'm sure you do this too, where you get all in your head. Someone's pleasuring you, or someone's pleasuring a woman, and they think, I'm taking too long. Am I doing this right? Am I wet enough? Or for you, am I hard enough? What are they thinking? How are they feeling? Or, and some of us can just completely relax, but they get caught up in their space. So going out of your way to make her feel safe. And ways to do that are saying things like if you're going down on her, and maybe you don't really feel this way, but say, I could do this all day. I love pleasuring you. You taste so good. You smell so good. I love licking your pussy. Maybe love's too much for you. I really enjoy this. Like, I think I really would get turned on by and feel really relaxed and get probably pretty wet if someone told me I could do this all day. And of course, I hope she doesn't expect you to really do it all day, but it lets her know, oh, okay, there's no pressure. There's no pressure to perform. This person actually wants to do this. They enjoy this. They enjoy me. I must look good. I must taste good. I must smell good. And it gets rid of a lot of that shame. So going out of your way to do things to make her mind feel safe, and then her body will follow. So they're connected. These aren't two separate entities, the body and the mind. One other thing I will say too that is really important is focusing on all this other stuff before you get to the genitals. So before you dive in to her pussy or even her breasts, there's different erogenous zones. There's non-erogenous zones, there's secondary erogenous zones, so like lips and breasts, and then there's actual erogenous zones. And then within the erogenous zone area, when we're getting to like the pussy, you have external erogenous zones, so like clitoris and vulva, which is the lips, and then inner erogenous zones, which is the vagina. And I would highly recommend working those in order. So make sure when you're arousing her, when you're touching her, when you're in your initial foreplay. And when I say foreplay, I'm saying it's important. Pussies love foreplay. They need it to feel relaxed and calm and safe. That's when the lubrication, the wetness will come. The wetness will come when the pussy is like, oh, okay, I'm turned on, I'm relaxed. Blood rushes to it, and the way to do that is to work with all this other stuff, her mind, and then her outer body. Rubbing her, caressing her, kissing her, making out with her. A lot of people don't make out a lot these days. Making out really gets a lot of hormones and endorphins moving through the body. And then moving to the genitals. So I would definitely go in order and take your time getting in there. Oh, we got one. We got censored. I don't know what censored means. Maybe you said something that this box doesn't like. What is the first sign that the girl is getting censored or wanting the guy to take charge to get physical? Uh-oh, it's moving. What's the first sign that the girl's getting something or wanting uh-oh. Hold on. My MacBook's getting crazy. Want to take charge to get physical. Okay, so how does she let you know that okay, I'm going to rephrase this. This is what I think you're saying. The first sign that she's getting probably turned on or something, or wanting the guy to take charge and get physical. So how do you read her and know that she is interested in moving further for you to actually touch her? I'm wondering if this question is related to like an initial person, like you guys maybe have never touched before. So if you've never touched before and you reading her body language, and that might not be enough, but reading her body language and just seeing is she facing you? Are her legs crossed towards you? Is she making eye contact with you? Although a lot of people are uncomfortable with eye contact, so she might not actually be doing those things. Is she giving you attention? Just really being present and paying attention to what kind of energy she's giving you. And then you can start to make subtle movements before you actually dive in and do something like, you can do subtle things. I do this quite often when I'm in like a flirtation space with someone. I always recommend taking baby steps. So just little small touches on their body to let them know that you might be interested, and then seeing where they react. So maybe you're interested and you're like, oh, I think she's interested. I think that she might be interested in moving forward with me. Just putting like a hand on her shoulder as you make a point, like say something and just kind of like convey a message, or on her arm or something to convey like, I hear you and I'm really interested in touching you. And it's not crossing lines, because if you dive too far in without consent, then it might be a little too much. So yeah, being present and really trying to read her body, and then it doesn't hurt to ask. We live in a society that likes to pretend like we're psychic, like we're supposed to be able to read body language. Some people, some women and men, they're really flirtatious, and so it always seems like they're into everyone, which isn't the case. So you can always ask. You can always, in a really friendly, very transparent way, like, "Hey, I think you're awesome. I think you're beautiful. I'm really interested in you. Are you interested in me?" Or something like that, something along those lines. So yeah, communication and transparency. I would appreciate if someone said that to me. Some women might think that that's a little too straightforward, and if they do, then that's their loss, and maybe it was never meant to be anyways. Maybe you never would have been a match, and maybe they're not into you, and if they're not, then so be it. Again, their loss. That's how it is. There's plenty of women I'm sure that you are not into as well. So that's how it goes. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what do we think the censored word? Because maybe we were deeper into it. Like we're beyond just talking to them and figuring out if they want to be touched for some issues. So maybe you're asking if she, like, you guys are starting to touch, like maybe you're making out, and then like she wants to take it the next step further. So on that note, I'm just going to emphasize communication again. It never ever hurts to ask. It never ever hurts to ask questions. And if someone assumes that you're psychic, that is their bad, because they know that you're not. And if you are, that's awesome. You should give me your information, because I have a lot of questions for you. And if you're scared to ask questions, then taking baby steps with touch that isn't just diving right in. So in a way that touch feels safe. So again, like touching shoulders, touching non-erogenous zones, like outer external parts, before you dive right in and just get ravenous and crazy. So it's a matter of just being conscious and being present and paying attention to her and trying to read her body language, but also asking questions. Yeah, get out there and be brave. What is your favorite part about a sexual experience? Ooh. My favorite part is all of the initial beginning, and this can be like with regular partners too, but all the initial beginning, like fun, playful stuff before penetrative sex actually happens. Oh, I'm outside, there's a seagull over my head, so just making sure. Yeah, all the beginning stuff. I feel like what happens when people start actually having sex, like actual penetrative sex, they forget about the beginning fun foreplay, whatever it is, making out, dry humping. I know a lot of guys don't like dry humping, but a lot of girls do, because what dry humping does is it puts pressure on the vulva and on the clitoris, and it feels amazing. If you're not into dry humping, then you can actually just use, if you don't like it on your genitals, you can just use your hand to like simulate what that would be like on the pussy over close. So anyways, I like all that beginning stuff. I think that it's all really, really fun and feels really good. And that's where the arousal phase comes from. That's where like the buildup and the energy comes from. So I personally would say the more energy and time that you can put into foreplay, the better off you're going to be, because pussies love them some foreplay. When I say foreplay, I mean touching all over the body except for the pussy, or if you get to the pussy, just using fingers and mouth. Sometimes some people consider oral sex foreplay too. It just depends on your definition of that. But everything, foreplay for some people would be everything except for penetration, and spend as much time as you can on that. You will make that pussy really, really happy. And if you're in a long-term relationship, if you get in one, don't forget to go back to foreplay. Just because you started having sex with this person, don't forget to just have maybe a night of just orally pleasuring them, or giving them an erotic massage or a body massage that doesn't involve "let me stick my cock in you," or making out. Don't forget to make out with people. Like I said, it produces a lot of endorphins and hormones, and people completely lose sight of it once they start to get in relationships or once they start to date. It becomes like this beginning thing, and there'll like be the occasional little kiss, but they forget. Oh, next question. Is the nipples more sensitive than the something censored? I'm assuming it's pussy. Well, I can't really say pussy on here. Damn it. Okay. Is the nipples more sensitive than the pussy when using your mouth? Than the censored when using your mouth? Okay, everyone's different. I'll tell you a fun story about me. I'm not a very private person, but if you ask me really private questions about me, I might not answer them, but I might volunteer information on my own. So don't ask me private questions about me, which I know you're not doing. I'm not pointing you out, but I'm saying that I'm going to volunteer some personal information. So I am someone that never used to like nipple play. I never used to like having my nipples touched. It always felt like too much. And recently learned that with the right touch, really, really light and slow, so it has intention with fingers, so really, really light, this kind of thing, actually can feel really, really nice. And it's a new thing for me. Before I was like, ugh, just grab. I would prefer like more breast grabbing as opposed to light nipple touch. So it's a new thing. I know some people that can have orgasms to having their nipples just touched or lightly rubbed or licked or sucked. I know some people that are kind of indifferent. It doesn't really matter. Like, oh, it feels good. It isn't. So everyone has different nerve endings there. I know men that actually can have orgasms to nipple play too. So to each their own. Everybody is different. I wonder what the censored is. More sensitive than the pussy when you're using your mouth. So there isn't, for some people, nipples might be like way more sensitive than the pussy, and for some people it might not. It really just depends on the body. What I would say is consider nipples the secondary erogenous zone. So if this is like a new person that you've never touched, again, we're working on their mind first. So whatever it is, you're beautiful, you smell good, you taste good, whatever it is, like this, the nice things that you can say to work on this headspace to make them feel adored and safe and secure. Then move to the non-erogenous zones, so rubbing all over the body in non-sexual places. Then secondary erogenous zones, lips and nipples. So before you go to the pussy, light touching the nipples, and just ask maybe. And this is a really easy place, like just yes or no questions. You're rubbing a nipple. This will be my nipple. You're lightly trying like a circular thing, really, really light. I mean, some people like, pinching and sucking, all that stuff, but just start really light. And I always recommend this, and whether it's licking a pussy, touching a pussy with your hands, touching nipples, sucking a cock, same thing. Start light and soft, and then work your way up to fast and hard. But along the way, check in. So if this is a new nipple, do you like this? How does this feel? Do you want more pressure, less pressure? Do you enjoy having your nipples touched? And then you'll figure it out. And then from there, after you did your nipple play, then maybe moving to other parts of the body, go move to the pussy and start externally and work your way in. And then so using your mouth, whether someone's going to have more stimulation from the nipples versus the mouth, the pussy, using your mouth, there's not one answer to that. It really depends. Like I said, the clitoris is just designed for pressure, and it has a lot of nerve endings. It has 8,000 nerve endings in just like one part of the body. So chances are using your mouth on the clitoris will be much more sensitive than to the nipples. But again, every human being is different in terms of the way they respond. Question. My question disappeared. I had a new question, but now it's gone. So there you go. One thing I will comment on, like I was just talking about the nipples, is that I think that is a great example, like my experience with that, because I just now at 30 years old and have had a fair share of really awesome sexual experiences, just learned that this feels good is a great example that we are always evolving sexually. There's always room for us to learn more. And it can be with the same partner. You can be with someone that you've been with for 2 years, and that you can learn something new. So even for your own body, to treat your sex life as a really awesome, exciting exploration of expansion and deep pleasure. Don't get stuck in ruts. We're people who like variety, yet we have a tendency to get stuck on what we're familiar with and what makes us feel good. And so really constantly try to learn and expand and push that. And women think that's sexy. They think that's sexy when you're adventurous, when you're open-minded. And when I say that, I don't mean like you're into everything, like, you know, you're into anal and rope bondage and like tying someone up to the ceiling while fucking them. Like, I'm not saying that they're all into that, but they like adventure, and they like curiosity, and they like when you are open to spicing things up. And it doesn't have to be super crazy exciting things, but just you being open to trying something new, or you really caring about doing something nice or pleasuring her. So don't be afraid to be adventurous. Okay, question. Is it okay to ask a girl what she likes or what turns her on? I've heard that girls like a guy knowing what to do without having to be told. There's some truth to that, and some of that I feel like is complete bullshit. So there's the idea of dominance and confidence. A lot of women like dominance and confidence, and some women really don't. Some women just want to be respected, or some women want to dominate you. So there isn't really one universal answer to that as well. But yeah, so to ask her what she likes, I in no way think that means that you are unskilled, you're inexperienced. That doesn't mean that you're not confident. That means to me that you are confident. That means to me that you're curious. That means to me that you care, that you actually care enough to check in with her. And if she gets weird about it and is like, why do you have to ask me? You say, it's because I'm curious. I know that you're all different, and I really want to pleasure you. I care about pleasuring you, and I know that the most efficient way to find out is by asking you. You don't have to tell me if you're not comfortable, but I really care about this. This is me being an awesome dude trying to help you out here because I care. So, yeah, if you get shut down for that, that is not your problem. That is their stuff, and maybe they're not someone that you should be playing with or sleeping with. But yeah, so yeah, girls they might be attracted to some dominance and confidence. So good old Jake was in here talking today about balance, and he says he talks to you all about balance a lot. And so it's a fine line of not being too much like, do you like this? Do you like this? How about this? How about this now? You know, you're not spending your whole sexual experience asking them, am I doing this right? But the balance there is to do that at least a little bit, especially when you have questions. And that will, one, help you get answers so that you can provide a better sexual experience, and also show her that you care. So finding balance in there, and to me, I think that shows confidence as well. Yes, question. Is it a turn off if your partner is not experienced with oral sex but is willing to learn? No, certainly not. No. No. As long as you're in an open space of willing to learn, I personally feel like that is the biggest turn on. Just that willingness to learn and to care and to be guided. And again, like I said, everyone is different, so there isn't one technique. So maybe you are a really experienced pussy eater. But it doesn't mean that your pussy eating skills are going to work on every pussy, because you might come across one that's just like, all those tricks that you did on all those other people doesn't work for my pussy. And a lot of people don't even know what works for their pussy. So being in an open space where you're willing to learn and explore, I think, is your best friend. And your worst enemy is being in a closed-minded space thinking, I already know all these tricks, or this worked on the last girl, so it's going to work on you, or this worked on the last girl, and if it doesn't work on you, then there's something wrong with you, because that's not valid. That's not how it works. Everyone is so different. So conveying, maybe you don't need to tell her that. You don't need to say, I have never licked a pussy before, I don't have a lot of experience, but instead you don't need to be like completely transparent about that, unless maybe like you guys get super serious and you decide you want to. But maybe letting her know that you're curious, like, instead of saying like, I'm inexperienced in this, saying, I really want to pleasure you, and if there's any tips that you have for me, I'm so open to that, and because I want to give you the best experience. And if she says, I don't know, because a lot of people just don't have those answers, it makes them uncomfortable, or maybe they just really don't know, then you can say, okay, well, I'm going to start to touch you, and then I'll just ask you if this feels good, and then she can guide you along the way, and you will learn a lot, and hopefully she'll have a really good time. Some of the best experiences I've had have involved a lot of communication, and it's not like you're having conversations the entire time, but there it hasn't been silent. It hasn't been like we're all psychic and assuming everything. There's been actual dialogue. Like I'm acknowledging you, and I'm acknowledging that you don't know everything about my body, and I'm being honest and open with you about how I'm feeling. Okay, is it true that women like anticipation and sexual tension? How can a guy create that build-up excitement with her? Yes, that's part of the foreplay. And so that is working with this. Remember I was talking about the different levels of turning someone on in arousal. So first we're working with the headspace, then we're going to the non-erogenous or erogenous zones, then the secondary erogenous zones, and then the erogenous zones. So anticipation and sexual tension actually is working with this first initial step of foreplay, is working with the brain. So yeah, what it does is it creates, it gets those endorphins and the hormones going. And there's different ways that you can do that. Teasing is one of them. And the way to tease, I would say, is not like you're teasing them like, ha, you're silly. You're teasing them in a way of like, I know you want this, and I'm going to give it to you, but I'm going to take my time. I'm going to give it to you on my terms. I'm going to make you beg for me to give it to you. Like that kind of thing can really, really turn a pussy on. I'm sure it turns a lot of cocks on too. Worked for me before. Not on my cock, I don't have one, but on other people's cocks. So ways to do that would be to start to touch her and then just completely stop. Like start to touch her and then hear her kind of like moving and moaning, panting, and then just stop and take a moment and look at her, or touch her in a different way, or say, I know you like that, so I'm gonna make you wait for that. Little things like that. To let her know, and you're not saying it in a way like I'm not trying to control you. I'm just know that this is what turns you on. So I want to make it last. Letting someone know that there's no time constraint can be really helpful. It can be a big turn on. It can also be really great for just for getting rid of that pressure. So that I think that can be a really hot rousing thing. Oh, cool! I got a love note. Ooh. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, so working with letting someone know that there isn't time, or that you're not in a rush, and that you're so into what you're doing that you could do this all day, or that whole thing about I'm gonna give this to you, but I'm gonna give it to you later. Like I could be here all day with you. We're gonna wait on that because I want to keep you right here, all hot and heavy, exactly where I want you. So, yeah, just playing with different things like that. With anticipation and sexual tension. I personally get really frustrated if people try to play head games with me. I don't personally love games. Some girls like games and they like the hard to get thing. That shit fucking drives me crazy. For me, it's more like life is short. I don't have time for this. Be honest and transparent and completely clear with me. And if you're not going to, then later I have better things to do. So. Yeah, that's part of the sexual tension that you're thinking is like mind games. I personally don't love that, but some people might actually like that. So I can't speak for everyone, but for myself, don't play games with me, fool. I guess I'm going to see if you have any other questions, or if you want to elaborate on any of the questions, like if I didn't answer your questions efficiently and you want me to get on there more. Oh, there goes my MacBook. Or if you have any final questions, because it's getting dark. I'm outside, and it's beautiful, but it's getting cold. Anything else? No? Okay. Well, if you have other questions, you can find me at purepleasureshop.com. I already put my web address on there. We also have an anonymous Q&A that you can find there if you go to the blog section. So if you have some really anonymous sex questions that you didn't feel comfortable asking here, or maybe you forgot and they come to you later, you can send it in, and it's an anonymous email that we usually send back to you, and sometimes we'll post it, not with your name or anything, but on our blog. Because the questions that you have, so many people have, like thousands of people have the same questions. So props to you for asking the questions, because by asking them, you're helping other people out. You're not just helping yourself, but you're helping other people, one, be brave enough to ask, and two, to get the answers that they've been looking for. So I really appreciate you, and I admire you. And if you need any awesome sex toys like lube, this is my favorite lube. I didn't really promote this earlier, but I'll show you. Can you see? Ooh, it's called Uberlube. This is my favorite lube. We sell it at Pure Pleasure. And one thing I want to leave you with is, because this is a really common thing we get from men, is that they think that they don't need lube, that they shouldn't need lube, that she should be wet enough, or if she's turned on enough, they shouldn't need lube. And within the sex educator realm, we feel like the more lube, the better. And in fact, if you don't have lube on hand and you are sleeping with an empowered woman, well, I won't say it like that, but I'll say that she will appreciate if you have really awesome, amazing, body-friendly lube that doesn't taste like anything, doesn't smell like anything, doesn't get sticky, and is good for all kinds of play, vaginal, anal, and oral. And if you have that on hand, and an awesome, really hot, sexy, empowered woman happens to see that you have that, like me, I would say, wow, you're amazing. Way to take your sexuality into your own hands. Literally. So with that will be the end of this segment. So thank you for having me, and feel free to send me questions at purepleasureshop.com. Have a good night.